Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my show where I help you build a career you love. It's great to be back with you live, and I'm hoping everybody's doing well. I've got a terrific session today on 7 uncommon practices that will help you build a great career. I promise these are tactics, outlooks, approaches that 99% of the world, maybe almost 100, just simply do not do. And if you do them, you're going to advance through your career. You're going to become pretty lovable and magnetic-like. People are going to want to be around you. And probably most importantly, you're going to live a happier existence. So great to have you. If you are here with me live, get in that chat. Say hello. Put some question marks in front of your questions. Let me know where you're from, who you are, where you're from, what you need. And I'll do my best to help you. I got a great show. It's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so. Then I got a ton of time for Q&A if you're here with me live. So let's get rolling right into it. I want to talk with you about these. These are just principles I live my life by. They're practices that I employ for myself every day, every week, all year long. Doesn't matter what's happening in the outside crazy world. These are things, approaches that protect me. And I want you to know that this will transcend careers, genders, demographics. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you've been working for 3 months or 30 years. These will work for everyone. Now, before I get into the 7 principles and practices that I want to talk with you about, I want to bring you back to something I did a little over a year ago. And I had this challenge that I threw down. It's called Master Your Craft. And I did some workshops. I created this challenge. It's a 9-day challenge. I created this beautiful workbook. So I'm starting right away with a giveaway here. But I want to call your attention to this guy. It's a 9-day challenge. There's 9 little videos, like 1 to 5 minute videos. And each day I send you an email. You follow along with the workbook and you work it. And it is about mastering your craft, becoming the best at your trade, being very great at what it is that you do specifically. Now, today is going to be about how to approach everything that you do related to your career so that you become attractive, and you advance quickly and all that good stuff. Now, before I get into the 7, there's one other thing I want to mention. In that Master Your Craft challenge, one of the first things that I talk about is your attitude. This is step 0, so this one doesn't count, because if you don't have this in place, you're not going to do anything very effectively. And one of the things I mentioned in that Master Your Craft challenge, and I want to remind you today, if you haven't seen it, I know there are a lot of new people to my community, and everybody finds me whenever they find me, so you probably haven't seen that challenge. But one thing that I stress is there is a connection between your attitude and others. So it's not just for you and the way that you perform everything that you do, how you feel, how you approach it, how well you do. But I always say optimism, your optimism, is something you manufacture from your own attitude. A positive attitude will help you become optimistic. And optimism is something that you manufacture from your attitude, but inspiration is something someone else manufactures from your optimism. I want you to remember this, because this goes along with everything I'm going to tell you today, is the way in which you approach it, the way in which you look at it, the attitude, your positive approach to it matters and is going to make you that much more successful. So please remember that. So attitude is a big honking deal. Now, I'm going to start with number 1 here. And I want to say, before I hold up this flashcard, this little note card, that none of you are allowed to take a still shot of what I'm going to hold up, because it's going to look like a total detraction if it's taken out of context for something that I shared with you a week or so ago. I put a video out on how employers view education and experience, and that, in my opinion, experience will, on-the-job training and all that good stuff, will always trump education. However, one thing that I want you to do as you plan your life as you look at your day, as you look at your week, as you look at your month and all that good stuff, the goals you want to set for yourself, there's a first that I want you to do. And I will tell you that education in the proper regard and outlook will always supersede experience or on-the-job work. And what do I mean by this? I'm talking about when it comes to scheduling your life. Let's be really, really specific. When I look at my week, every week, the first thing that goes on my calendar is not the Tuesday Digest I have to write for you. It's not the live office hour show that I'm going to come up on Thursday and do a bang-up job for you or all that other stuff. It's where are my learning spots? What am I going to learn on any given day that is going to advance me personally or advance me professionally or advance my team, my business, and all that good stuff? So you know how a lot of people say, well, you should pay yourself first. You get your paycheck, then you take some money out of it and you put it in the bank, and then over time that really, really grows. This is the same thing. And I always say, I want you to know that when you approach each week, each day, that education, your planning of your education, I'm not talking about institutionally paid education, although that can be some of it, but I'm talking about how are you going to learn stuff. If you are the junior ad exec and you want to make the presentation and pitches to the big boys and girls, those customers of yours, but you're just not there yet because the senior execs do that, where on your calendar is the time you're practicing those pitches just like you were going to make them? Where are you enhancing your communication skills? Where are you growing your psychological skills? Where are you growing all this other stuff? So I always tell people, especially the ones that enlist me for high performance coaching, is let me see your calendar. And then they always want to know why. I say, well, you just got done sharing with me your goals and what you want to grow into and all that good things you want to accomplish. Where on your calendar is all the time you're going to work that? Most of that hyper growth does not occur during the day. Okay, I've talked about this one before, right? When I wanted to become a coach and a trainer in an online format, I didn't know the first thing about a webcam. I didn't know the first thing about a camera. I practically still don't. Okay, but I had to allocate time to make sure that I understood how to do this effectively. There had to be practice. There had to be live shows too, right? And recordings and all that good stuff. But this doesn't just happen naturally. And it's not just how do I look through that camera to communicate to you. It's how do I make sure you and I are having a conversation right now and I'm not having a conversation with myself thinking about what I need to tell you, right? It's just you and me. So these are kinds of things that I want you to know. So I want you to plan them. Now, when you do that, I want you to remember, you get 168 hours in a week, I get 168 hours in a week. What I want you to start asking yourself on Friday for the next week or Sunday night or whenever, Monday morning, and whenever you're planning this is, what am I going to learn today versus what am I going to do today? It's never about what I'm going to do. It's about what I'm going to learn when I'm scheduling first. And what is it that I'm going to put on my calendar that's going to help me grow? Now, sometimes it might be things like work with the camera, set up something new, try something different, learn new technologies, whatever it might be that helps catapult me forward. Sometimes it's things like I got to get better at managing Facebook ads, and these are very complicated, and the targeting and the retargeting, and how do you find the right people that your message will resonate with and you will be able to help. All of the, and yeah, there's hours in my day to figure out and fumble through it and figure out the resources I need to find to help me and learn it and work with my team and all that good stuff. Okay, so I want you to start shifting your mindset. What am I going to learn today versus what am I going to do today? And here's the little action item on this one. I want you to assess your calendar. Literally look at your calendar, not right this second, okay? By the way, this replay will stay up on my YouTube channel. The calendar that you have, take a look back at the week. That's not long enough. Take a look back at the month. Look at that calendar. Look what you did. Look what you accomplished. Figure out how you grew or if you grew. And ask yourself, what happened? Is this the person I want to be going forward? Is this going to get me where I want to go? Ask yourself the tough questions. Those reflection exercises are going to do you good. All right, number 2. Now, this one, I know some of you do it, but it's pretty dang hard, especially when you need something. But can you imagine what your life would be like if you approached every encounter and every activity with a giving mindset first. Another first here. So when you approach anything, I've got daily lines that I put out. They're called Today's Lines to Live By. If you follow me on the social sites, you probably see these. I put one out many, many years ago, and I probably put it out again recently, where I talk about you will accumulate a lot more in life by sharing, or you will end up with a lot more in life by sharing rather than accumulating. It's true. The more you give away, the more that will come to you and find you. People will pop up. Opportunities will pop up. And I know a lot of you are job searching at the moment. And I know when you go to networking meetings, well, when we're going to get back to networking meetings, the inclination is, okay, well, I need to find people who can help me, maybe hire me or get me to somebody who can. But what if you approached every encounter with focusing on the other person? How can I help you? What if you focused on trying to connect to people at these sessions, at these group meetings, or whatever they might be? What if, and this is maybe one I might use a few times during the talk, recruiters contact some of you, right, through LinkedIn and emails. Some are corporate recruiters, some are executive recruiters, and they send you these job postings like, hey, I'm looking for a database architect. And I saw your profile and I really liked it, even though you're a project manager. And what's going through your head is, well, that's silly. I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm going to reply back with some, snotty remark. Well, what if your mindset was, whoa, this person who could potentially be a window into the employment market reached out to me. Why don't I get on the phone with them? And if nothing else, I'll give them every database architect I've ever worked with or know, and help that person. And then in the process, I'm sure I'll be able to share my background and my interests and all that good stuff. And who knows, maybe they have an opportunity for me at the moment. They just didn't realize it. Or maybe I just plant a seed now, something that might happen in 6 days or 6 months, right? That giving mindset. So think that way first. It will do you good. Now, this one is, I like to think of this one as the greatest source of strain for virtually all of us in this world. You've got a plan, and then there is what is. And this world is just what is. The universe doesn't know good or bad. It just is, right? You have a plan. You have expectations, right? This guy right here, our expectations are the greatest source of internal strain that we will ever have, right? Why? The world is not the way we think it should be. I should have gotten that promotion. I should have been invited to that party. I would have invited her to the party if I had a party, kind of thing, right? This is the way I think it should be. Now, don't get me wrong. There are external stressors like somebody gets sick, divorce, right? Your girlfriend dumps you, all that good stuff. But your expectations about what you think should occur are the greatest source of strain that you'll ever have in your life. Could you get to a spot? I'm not talking about complete detachment here. I've got a quote in this book. Some of you got this book. I give this book away free for those $7 shipping and handling. That promotion. But in Out of Reach, but in Sight, using goals to achieve your impossible. I talk about. My mind is open to any possibility, but my heart is attached to no outcome. Now, it's not that I do not care, but I know that when I'm new at something, when I'm trying something, when I'm trying to improve myself and reach the next level, I'm experiencing firsts. Most of the time, we are experiencing firsts. But even when we're not, we have these expectations of how the world ought to be, and I think it really harms us. So what if you could change your perspective and not automatically assume that your expectations are going to be met? Sure, I want you to have goals. I want you to have targets. I want you to do things to stretch yourself. But what if you could get ready to face any encounter, and instead of being miffed like, oh shoot, how about this? Well, what can I do with this? We're all still in the middle of a pandemic. Right? Things are getting a little bit better, right? We're getting back to normal. Kind of the economy's starting to open up, at least in the U.S. and most states. Well, first time the coronavirus hit, first thing I thought of is, well, I'm going to have more time on my hands. I'm going to be home. I'm not going to be breaking out for lunch. I'm not going to be going to restaurants, dinners, and meeting my friends and all that good stuff. So what is it that I can do with this? And if your immediate reaction to things is that, I think you're going to be far better off. We had a whole month of April planned for you. Great projects, fun offerings, tons of free stuff. And when the coronavirus hit, I shelved all of it. Probably you won't see it till October or November or something like that. But instead, I completely revamped what I was doing. I said, what can I do with this? Well, I've got a little more time on my hands, right? I'm not doing some of the things that I normally would do. So I've got some extra time to make a bit of a shift and then build them something that's relevant to them now. Okay, so that's a big one. And one thing I'm gonna mention for those of you that are live toward the end here, I've got a little promotion going on in my leadership coaching program. One of the modules that we did in the leadership monthly program is on this, how to deal with unexpected change. Everything from the macro approach to how you live your life and approach your month and approach your week and day, to all the little interruptions that occur, to all the major catastrophes that occur. So if that's something you're interested in, there's more inside that program. But let's roll on to number 4. Now, I also, over the past month, have released a number of videos on focusing on what's in front of you, living life in the moment, but being completely present, right? That I stress that the joy is in the doing, and I want you to be there. I want you to be present. For me, the joy is in the doing this right now. This is awesome. I am nowhere else. I'm giving you my best, and it's the only thing on my mind. That's it. I'm not worried about what's for dinner or somebody who's upset with me or any of that stuff, right? I'm focused on you. But number 4, this is really important. What's next matters. Okay, I'm not talking about the bigger, better deal. Okay, I'm talking about making sure that wherever you are in life, that your calling is greater than your current situation. Your calling is higher than what you're doing at the moment. I'm not talking about not being satisfied. I'm just talking about making sure that there's a reason for you to get out of bed in the morning and that you are looking forward and you have something pulling you. I do not care how many friends you have. I do not care how big your business is. I do not care how many zeros there are after the one in your bank account. If you're getting out of bed for more money, you're going to have a lot of stress in your life. I know a lot of people who live in big houses who are basically walking time. That's it. You have got to have something that pulls you, whatever it is, but you got to have a reason to get up tomorrow. Interestingly, let me give you a little something on the more concept. When I talk about what's next, and we're not, there's ways of looking at things you do repetitiously. There's ways that you look at things in a growing fashion. So let me show you the distinction. We were at one of our Mile Walk Academy meetups. Actually, it was one in Chicago that we had some months back. One of the women, she came up to me and bless her heart, and she says, "Andy, I just got to tell you this. I just think you're amazing." It was such a nice thing that she said, that you come to these shows every week. I was having a show twice a week at that point, and she says, and you get asked the same questions over and over and over again by people, and you're joyful when you answer them. You never make anybody feel badly. You never look like you're tired of answering. How is that possible? And I said, well, when I think about my calling, right, I want to help more people. That's the reason why I do what I do in this format, so that I can reach more of you and help more people. So that person who asked me that on a Thursday or a Tuesday or a whatever, maybe they were just finding me for the first time. Maybe they hadn't seen me say it before. Whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. It's their first. And so I now get an opportunity to help another person. But for me to also grow professionally, and I want to build new things for you, I want to grow, I want to stretch myself, but I want to do that in tandem with you. So, right, some of you are in my job search boot camp. I have a signature job searching program to help you find a job. I have a lot of assets that are free that help you find a job. Well, what's next for you on your growth continuum? I want you to find job and crush job, right? That's why I develop my leadership coaching, so that I can help you do well in your career, throughout your career, through whatever it is you're doing, change careers or whatever it might be, and that do it well, but also live a great life. And I want to expand to help you in that regard. So that's how I grow. That's what I'm talking about when I say your calling has to be greater than your current situation. I'm really happy right now, but I'm not satisfied that I've done all I can do to rise up to my calling. You got to have a calling that's greater than your current situation. You've got to know what's next. I want you to reflect on this question, okay? What is my reason for getting up tomorrow? What is my reason for getting up tomorrow? I want you to think about that, okay? All right, now we're getting into some of my, I like these last three a lot. All right, this one goes out to all of you, especially when you tell me I have to do this research, I have to know how much I'm worth, I have to know what my salary expectations are, all this good stuff. I'm going to tell you, it's not just related to that. I don't want you to ever assume anything. Literally nothing. Zero. You just don't know. You don't. You just don't. You just don't know. You're interviewing for a job and you think the job's below your level. Do you know if they'll change the scope? Right? Do you know if they'll add responsibilities? That recruiter, remember that example I mentioned, that recruiter that reached out to you about that database position, even though you're a project manager. Might that recruiter have other positions? Might that recruiter be working for a firm who has other recruiters who work on placing project managers? Right? You just never know. And I want to drive this one home so hard. I actually pulled up a couple of messages that I got, and I want to tell you these stories. And there was this woman, she was a boot camper, and we were having a session last Friday, so less than a week ago. And one of her questions was, Annie, thank you, I have 2 job offers. One of them is a lot lower than the other. And her question was, the one that's a lot lower, which is drastically lower, I think I'm going to turn down, but it's with somebody who is a colleague that I know and I really want to keep, I think it was a her, in my network. So how do I let her down gently? And here was the advice I gave her. So I said, okay, well, first thing is, if you truly don't want that lower paying job and you just want to take the other one, that's great. But if because this person is somebody in your network and is a colleague, and you want to retain that, I think you owe her a bit of an explanation, and I would suggest, if you want to take the other job, that you let her know that there's something about the other job that you just really love that her job wasn't able to give you. Maybe you want to have international experience and maybe they're a domestic company. Something like that she couldn't do anything about. Now, that's if you just want to take that, your mind is made up. If you're not sure and it's a money issue, that's something that they could potentially change. Now, at the time she asked me the question, I didn't know how drastic a difference we were talking, and this is a relatively junior person, so I'm thinking that it's not hugely different in the way of compensation, but I didn't know, but that was the advice I gave her. The next day, she made that, let me see, I'm gonna pull this up here for a second. She made that call. And here's what she sent me the next day. I took your advice, made the call. Once I spoke to them, so on and so forth. Now, the lower offer was $48,000. Okay? So I want you to think about this. This is a pretty huge difference. So she talks to the individual, and basically within 10 minutes, the person says, okay, I'll match the 70 grand. Now, my 9 semesters of higher math says that's 46% increase. That's a 46% they upped the salary. Now, would you have assumed that they would have done that? No, I wouldn't have either. We'd have both been wrong. But look at what else we're talking about here. How is there a market value between 48,000 and 70,000? How would you know that? That's such a wide delta that's incredible that you would never think that they, right? Here it is. I'm very taken aback with the leap in the offering in a 10-minute phone call. Now, then she asked me for more advice, okay, which we've gone back and forth on. But how incredible is that? But how about this one? Here's another one I want to show you because I think this is so awesome, and I want to put this plug in again because I shared this with my community in the Facebook group, the private Facebook group and LinkedIn groups, and I've shared this with my boot campers and my folks in my leadership program. This is a woman, she happens to be in my job search boot camp and in the leadership program. And I mentioned that I meditate every day and I use the app Headspace. I really love it. I paid for a year and I wanted, just to share with everybody that I discovered that Headspace was offering a free annual subscription to anyone who was unemployed. That's all I had known. So I shared it with my global community. And she responded to one of my digests that I sent a week or so ago. And she said she has been thanking me. She's been getting a lot out of the leadership program. And so she said, well, hey, Andy, I wanted to share some things. She shared something about Insight Timer. But then she says, I wrote to customer service. This is at Headspace. And I was wondering why I couldn't get it for free. And they explained that it was only for U.S. People. And there was some other reasons why. Okay. So now she said, well, at the moment, they gave me a 40% discount for a year. This isn't chump change we're talking about, right? But it goes back to, hey, not taking no for an answer, not assuming. The old me would have just accepted the fact that things are not available. That's an awfully bad assumption to make. But the new me is going to put effort in getting what I want. And I thought this was just... I loved this message, especially because she came back to me in this video here about the world is one big ATS if you let it be. So that's something I put out a week or so ago about the whole world is going to tell you no, right? The whole world is a bot that's excluding you. Don't take no for an answer. Don't assume. The answer will always be no. The answer will always be no if you don't ask, right? So I want you to understand that this stuff happens every day. If your assumption is the world works the way the way you think it works, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. So I want your inclination anytime you get in a situation, whether you're going to negotiate your salary, whether you're just going to introduce yourself to somebody, anything that you do, I want your inclination to be not assume, but just to find out more. Right? When they say, hey, tell me about yourself, I need to know what it is about me that you would like to know. I need to find out more. I shouldn't just assume that it's these 10 things you want to know. That's just an example, right, from what a lot of you are living right now. Please, inclination, find out more. Whoever has more information makes better decisions. All right, next one. Got a couple stories on this one. Length eliminates risk. You got to know this. The longer term you think, the better short-term decisions you make. Do you have any stocks? Right? Every day goes like this, right? If you looked at it every day, you'd freak out. But if you said, they're there, I'm going to wait 10 years. Bonds, same thing. This house I live in, we bought it 2.5 years ago. I have not one time checked what the value of this home is by somebody's estimation. No, because I intend to live here forever, kind of thing. So, but on any given day, on any given week, the value of the price will go up and down. So the longer term you think, right, that job that you want to take, you got to take a swing. You can't worry about, well, what if it goes? No, well, what happened? What are you gonna do when it goes right? Okay, I want to tell you a couple stories here. One is about this woman who I was a client of mine. She was a recruiter. Actually, she hired Mile Walk to do some searching for some senior positions for her consulting company. So she was the recruiter. She reported to the head of talent acquisition and HR. They enlisted us. We developed a great relationship. At one point, she calls me up and she says, I've been here a while and I want to move. I want to leave this company. And I'm thinking of going to this other company. I'd love your advice. I told her, don't go, because I think that other company is volatile. The environment is crazy. She's like, well, yeah, but they're going to let me work from home 2 days a week, this and that. The other thing, I says, I think you're being short-sighted, but I support you. You asked for my counsel. That's what it is. She goes to that company. They let her go in 5 months. After the 5 months, she calls me up. I says, hey, her name's Jen. Don't worry about it. Why don't you come and work with me at Mile Walk and you be a recruiter? And it'll be a lot of fun. I'll teach you everything I know, and we'll have a great time. She says, that'd be awesome. So I said, now listen, when you take this job, I need you to know that if you do what I show you what to do each day, day in and day out, you're going to make a lot of money. You have to focus on the things you can control. You need to have a steady rate at which you work, at which you surface candidates, your pulse, and everything. You really should not be paying attention day to day with how you think things are going. Give it 2 years. You want to build up a book of business. You want to build up a candidate pool. I need to know going in that you can do it. She says, this would be great. Now, she makes probably at that time about $80,000 a year. I said, listen, you're going to make 200 or more probably in your first year. You just got to stick with it, and you can't freak out every month, every week, every day. What's happening? Okay, she starts. First month, makes a couple placements. Yay. Commissions are rolling right in. She's like, this is great. Awesome. We got other clients. We had a search we were doing for a senior person, and Jen was the lead recruiter to find the people, and I managed the account. She found 3 amazing women that were perfect fits. Our client, which is the first search we were ever doing from, we never seen anything this awesome, this fast. Well, the client messes something up. Turns out, without dragging you through the whole story, that they couldn't hire any of them. They gave offers to 2 of them and both rejected them for different reasons. It was a total disaster. Jen was very deflated. It was probably a, $30,000 fee for her alone. And mentally thinking I got the money, it didn't work out. She goes into a tailspin. Work starts to suffer. A few months later, it's like, Andy, I can't do this anymore. I said, oh man, you're only 8 months in. Please, I really think you're being short-sighted. You cannot look at the individual things. If you keep a steady pipeline of candidates and all that good stuff. Well, what happens? She quit, and then in the next 3 months, we placed 7 of her people. She probably would have gotten another 150, 180,000 in just those 3 months. Right? That's what I'm talking about when you look at things in a longer time frame. How does this relate to you? All of you job searching out there, it's a Monday, you send 3 boss hunting cover letters out, nobody gets back to you by Tuesday morning, and you think you suck, right? Well, send 3 more out on Tuesday, and 3 more out on Wednesday, and 3 more out on Thursday, and 3 more out on Friday. That's a 15 message week. I call that pretty awesome, right? It will happen. I put this leadership program together. We started about 15 months ago, and I said, I'm going to give myself 2 years of this program to get it to the point where people are starting to get familiar with what it's all about. It's a new offering for me. It's a new curriculum line. I have to figure out what resonates with them, what kind of content they want to, I know what I want to share with them, but I have to learn from them, and so on. Every month we offer some type of promotion, and I look at it. Sometimes it exceeds expectations. Sometimes it doesn't. That's okay. Right? And we get more data. Why is it that it's not a good idea to look at things short term? Think about the number of variables that occur at any moment in time that you do something. Okay, it was a Monday. Oh, sorry, it was a January. Wait, the weather was bad. Oh, it was sunny. Oh, it was snowing. Hang on, we were in the middle of a pandemic. Wait a minute, that industry is starting to take a dive because the demand for such and such isn't right. Wait, a new technology has been created which is going to sunset another type of. All of these things occur at any moment in time. So if your window is super short, like for me, the types of things that I offer to you, what I'm looking for is, what do you consider to be the most valuable? What do I think is the best thing I can service for you and teach you? And the combination of how I present things to you and what I highlight. So that takes time to change each variable to know what the perfect mixture is. So the longer you can give yourself to tinker, the better, right? Put it in motion, revise one element. Put it in motion, revise another element, and then look, oh, wait, that was bad, put it back. Okay, now you go to another iteration. Variables. Length eliminates risk. Okay, last one. I love people. I want to meet people. I do. Who do you want to meet? Do you have a list of people that you would like to meet, that you want to meet? Who are they? Is it the CEO of a company? Is it a mentor of yours that you see online? Is it that senior vice president of sales at that organization? Is it somebody who runs a group? Who is it? So figure out who those people are. I guarantee you, you will figure out a way to get to them. You will. You will. People are more accessible than you think. They really are. And that 6 degrees of separation, that's out the window, right? It's like 2 at the most anymore. You just have to find the right person. So I want you to think about those 7 things. So here, I'm going to recap them for you. Number 1, when you're scheduling, I want you to make sure that you're putting in time on your calendar for you first. Use the entire week. Number 2, approach everything with a giving mindset. This is huge. Realize the world just is. It just is. Don't think about what's fair. Life has never been fair. It isn't now, never will be. It just is. So watch your expectations so that you don't get stressed out. All right, number 4, is your calling greater than your current situation? If it's not, figure out what to do. All right, that's number 4. And, oh, you know what? I knew as I was rolling through this. Here we go. Number 5, never assume. Number 5, never assume. Number 6, length eliminates risk. And number 7, who you want to meet. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next time.